Jessup.
Good afternoon, Chairman Lofgren and members of the Committee on House Administration. I'm Brandon Jessup, resident of the state of Michigan, and for most of my adult life, I've worked to improve democracy in the neighborhood and at the ballot box. This work began on my 20th birthday, September 12, 2001, when I joined the Eastern Michigan University chapter of the NAACP Youth and College Division. I'm sure this mirrored many actions of many of America's youth post 9/11, but I also had some additional inspiration in my life along the way. And that inspiration has guided me to stand on the shoulders of Coleman Alexander Young, Baynard Rustin, Coretta Scott King, and Barack Obama to bring progress home through our society's challenges. I'm the child of three products of America's Great Migration. My birth parents were too young to participate at the time, yet the influence of big money in politics has shaped their lives and mine far before I was born. Like in many southern states, it was a known fact that Louisiana's adoption institutions, or any public institutions for that matter, weren't necessarily kind to little black boys. Being my mother's second child in as many years, arrangements were made for an informal adoption to secure a good home for her incoming baby boy. That good home landed me in Detroit, Michigan. My upbringing helped me to expand on these values of civil rights, black liberation, and the women's rights movements my parents lived. My father and stepfather pushed forward north to find employment from sharecropping in Tennessee and in Kentucky, respectively. They found home in the United Auto Workers and gainful employment. My mother did the same, coming from Tennessee, moving up, pulling herself up from her bootstraps, earning her nursing degree at a local community college, and then soon joining the Michigan Nurses Association, and joining her membership in a church, and of course, the United Auto Workers as well. These experiences helped me to understand that voting is a service required for the privilege of democracy, and our consistent participation in it improves the entire American experience. The policies proposed in H.R. 1 for the People Act of 2019 heed citizen-led movements in states across this country for a better democracy that is ethical, efficient, and transparent. Big money in politics has replaced the heavy stick of violence and oppression to deploy voter suppression over broader communities through sophisticated gerrymandering and dark money. This past decade in Michigan has left great marks across our nation's application of democracy and in our society. As a response to the Great Recession of 2009, conservative organizations and advocacy groups worked with state institutions to introduce sweeping legislation that would disempower citizens by removing their elected officials with appointed overseers, increasing taxes on seniors and pensioners while divesting from public services and infrastructure. Michigan's new emergency manager law, protected by a gerrymandered state legislature and congressional delegation, caused a chain of events that will lead to the largest municipal bankruptcy in the United States and over 10,000 children in the city of Flint being poisoned with lead. April 25th will mark the 5th year of the Flint water crisis, 1,825 days of using bottled water to cook, eat, and clean. A sad anniversary that clean water advocates like Naraya Sharif, Bishop Bernadine Jefferson, and Ms. Claire McClinton remind me of daily. This injustice continues to be fueled by malfunctions in our democracy that reward corporations over citizens and profits over people. I'm asking this committee to set the course correctly to put ethics back into our democracy. In the spring of 2011, a nonpartisan campaign started with people who look just like me, began to push against Michigan's emergency manager law to repeal that law. This was successful in this effort and gained over 75 of our 83 counties' support. Unfortunately, due to more dark money in our system through Michigan's lame duck process, that will of the voters was overturned and replaced with a whole new section of law that would place dictators right back over our democracy. We also would find that over in the thief of night, we will find that collective bargaining will be taken away from us. And also, over the next 4 years, we will see big money in politics keep the Flint water crisis as a quiet set-aside that no one wants to talk about. But it's because of that great spirit of fighting and working that Flint Rising and the American Civil Liberties Union of Michigan have remained on the ground fighting for justice. I want to make sure I keep in my time here and talk about some of the most proactive ways that we can fight I'm sorry. Over 40 years ago, Michigan pioneered new techniques to encourage residents to register to vote. This ingenuity, led by Michigan's first African-American to be elected to the statewide office, Secretary of State Richard Austin, was also the first of its kind in the nation. It was also the last set of reforms our state would see in almost 40 years. In November 2008, with a near supermajority of voters, we approved constitutional amendments to end gerrymandering and provide common sense reforms to make voting accessible to all. I'm proud to say that I helped to lead this change to bring over 300,000 new voters to cast ballots in 2020. This is through same-day registration and no-excuse absentee voting. It's because of citizen-led efforts like this across this country in Florida, Ohio, Missouri, and other places that are pushing democracy to be what it should be in America. Thank you for your time, and I yield.
Thank you very much.